Okay. Today's shir is sponsored by Sid and Sandy Goldschmidt, wishing all at the Young Israel Fairlawn a Shana Tova Mitzuka, and it's sponsored anonymously L'Schus Refuah Shlema for Naomi Leah Bas Rivka Anya, and may Naomi Leah Bas Rivka Anya, these words of the Torah, be a schus for Refuah Krova Lovo. We also want to wish and reciprocate, like I said in the email, Sid and Sandy, a warm Shana Tova back to them. So last time we discussed the psulim of Krovim. We had some shilas of that we discussed actually post the shir as well. But we went through the Me'iri Kedai to hold on to that Me'iri that really delineates and lists all the psulei Krovim and the way you make the tree to have the psulei Krovim. Rishon B'Sheni and Rishon B'Rishon, father and me is Rishon B'Rishon, brother and me is Rishon B'Rishon, and then his son is, 1, 2, so that's a Rishon B'Sheni, and his son would be a Rishon B'Shlishi, a great uncle and a great nephew would be a Rishon B'Shlishi, which is actually coming up in the Gemara. Machlokas Rishonim had a paskin about a Rishon B'Shlishi. But then it gets a little complicated because then you have to figure out also what do you do with husbands, and there's a concept of Balki Ishto and Ishto Kugufo that we spoke about last week, and that's all within the Psulei Krovim. So we said by Rishon B'Sheni, there's straight up Balki Ishto. By Sheni B'Sheni, there is no double Balki Ishto. Rabbi Leifer asked the question whether he had a case of one Balki Ishto by a Sheni B'Sheni, which is a first cousin, and that would probably, in Shulchan Aruch, it sounds like that would be a problem because it's only meko by two Balki Ishtos. But that's just in terms of the Psul Krova. So the last thing we really never got a chance to discuss in the Mishnah before we start the Gemara and go weiter is the Mishnah discusses all the lists of the Krovim, and then it says in the middle of the Mishnah, Amar Rabbi Yossi Zu Mishnah Rabbi Akiva. All these lists of Krovim is according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Alva Mishnah Rishayna. But the Mishnah Rishayna held doidu bendod of a chol haroi liyarsho. So they use this phrase of chol haroi liyarsho. So we said last week that Rashi says chol haroi liyarsho means hainu krovei av aval krovei aim kagon achi imo kashalo shareinu yarshalo desnan achi ein manchilin lo velo nochlin aval hu pasal achi imo. So what Rashi talks about the following case: what happens if you have a relative from the mother that one direction there's Yerusha, and the other direction there's no Yerusha? So Rashi says, take the Mishnah literally, Kol Aroi Liyarsho, according to the Mishnah Rishona, and what that means is if there's no Yerusha, it's good. If there is Yerusha, it's bad. Wherever there's Yerusha is a problem. Wherever there's no Yerusha is good. So the Rishonim have a very difficult problem with this Rashi, because that makes it sound like that it's all Yerusha based, and it's all about kickbacks. And like Mark said last week, if it's all about kickbacks, so then what? You should be mamin lechova. If it's all about schus and it's only when it's going to be beneficial and monetarily beneficial, so then it should only be a psul in that direction. Why is there an absolute invalidation that it's even when it's lechova? So that's the kasha the Rishonim have against Rashi, that it shouldn't only be financially based and focused on Yerusha, and that's why the Baal HaMor actually argues with Rashi. And the Baal HaMor says no. Anytime there is certain relationships that fit in the Yerusha tree, so then that is a type of relationship that the Mishnah Rishona held would be pasal le'edus. But it's not that it's dependent on Yerusha. That's just a maramakom. That's a siman to know which type of relationships were problematic, were not problematic. But it's not about negias, it's not about kickbacks, and it's not about benefit. It's about, what is it about? If you're going to say it's it's not about Yerusha, it's not about benefit, so what would it be about? So perhaps it's based on, well, what's Yerusha's ha'av based on? Why do majority of the mother's family not have Yerusha, right? So the Gemara in Baba Basra and Yesh Leichlin tells us there's a very simple reason. Mishpachas aim eina kuriya mishpacha, right? The pasuk about Midbar, lemishpachoisam lebeis avoisam, mishpachas av kari mishpacha, mishpachas aim eina kari mishpacha. Halachic mishpacha is dependent on the mishpachas av. So just like by Yerusha, that's the case. So too, that's going to be by Psul Korva. Or one could say the Adarma has a day, and he just says, what's the pasuk talking about? We're about to darshan a pasuk. How do you know Psul Korva in the first place? So the Gemara is about to tell me, Disaner Rabbanan lo yumsu avos albanim. It's talking about a father-son relationship, which is all about a classic Ra'il Yerusha. So if that's what the Mucker is, so then Mela, it's going to follow Roy Yerusha. Not because it's dependent on Yerusha, not because it's hinging on Yerusha, not because there are any kickbacks, but that's just what the actual Mucker is based on. So therefore, we're going to follow based on that type of Roy Yerusha model. What would be the nafkamina between those two svaras that I just said from the Yad Ramah? Well, what would happen if you have someone who's Roy Yersho in Mishpachas Eim? Would you say that no, Mishpachas Avkari, Mishpachas Eim is not, or do you say that no, it's more Yerusha based and it's not across the board that maternal relatives are totally out, and we'll talk about that in Mir Tzashem when we talk about Shitas HaRambam. Yeah.
Could you say that the Rashi's holding like the Mali Shaker approach, like he held beforehand, but it is?
How does that explain why you wouldn't be Neman for Chova?
Why do you have to say kickbacks in the first place? Could it just be like an extension of like Negias?
That's kickbacks.
No, kickbacks. I mean, if someone is testifying that someone.
That's what I meant by kickbacks. Incentives.
No, but I'm saying even the Chov. Meaning if someone is testifying.
If you hold your puzzle, if you hold a baldover as puzzle for Negias, we said. Right, like I believe it was the Tumim that said that. So he holds the Chova B'Nema. Negias is just one way.
If someone is claiming money from me, I'm not an aid to say no, you don't, or yes, you do. I'm a baldavar, right? So here, if through the trickling through Yerusha, you could either have big Yerusha or small Yerusha, you are ultimately impacted by this, and therefore you're an extension of a baldavar.
Saying if you hold a baldavar, if you hold Negias is possible because of Chash Meshaker. Right? No, there's a machlokes we discussed why no gay is puzzle. Is it chash meshaker, or is it because you're a baldover, you're like a karov, you're a psul be'etzim? If you hold it's because of a chash meshaker, so then you're only puzzle lechov. I mean lizchus. Right. So it's very hard to understand Krovim like that. I don't even think necessarily Rashi held like that, but that's the way the Rishonim attacked Rashi, based on that.
If the wife is the one in the litigation, you would apply this vice versa. Then the husband's family could testify.
If while they're married, no, so that they would be puzzle. Yeah, they would be puzzle. But you're saying
Yeah, I'm saying is this just an one example, but the theory holds from either side. So if the husband's the one in the litigation, the wife's side is not considered mishpacha, they could testify. But if it's the wife who's being litigated,
right, you're saying if you take if you take this literal route of royal yarsho like the Mishnah Rishona, right, which we don't paskin like, but if you would take that route, so then that would probably lend to all those other relatives also, right? Correct. Because only mishpachas av and not other mishpachas, right? So let's see a little bit into the Gemara. Minani mili, how do you know any of this? The Taner Rabbanan lo yumsu avos albanim. The pasuk says lo yumsu avos albanim. Ma Talmud loimer. This is a very important pasuk to remember. Unfortunately, in shidduchim, in many different aspects in life, people just nix and violate this pasuk. Not only outside of what the literal meaning is of psul karva, but it's also that. Banim shouldn't have to suffer because of mistakes made by earlier members of the family or because of parents that made mistakes. And, unfortunately, you have kids in yeshiva and you have kids, girls in schools and in seminaries that are just suffering and people not remembering this pasuk of Lo Yimsu Avos Albanim, that everyone has to have a fair chance and they shouldn't have to suffer for the mistakes and the averis of their parents. Lo yumsu avos albanim. Matam lomer imu lamed shelo yumsu avos ba'oven banim. If it's to teach you ubanim ba'oven avos, like we just said, if it's just to tell you that you don't have to, that you're not going to punish for the averis of the avos towards the banim or the banim towards the avos, vice versa. Hare kvar nemar ish becheto yumasu. The pasuk already taught us that because ish b'chata yamasu. But just derech agav, everybody say it's a pella. And if the pasuk wouldn't have said ish b'chata yamasu, what would my conclusion have been? They should be punished. This Gemara is a pella. I need a pasuk to tell me ish b'chata yamasu. What's pshat? So the Ran works on this kasha. The Ran says, no, it's talking about, a moishel ear that has to be dan shela, whatever it is. This Gemara is a big kasha. It sounds like it's a gzeres hakasa that you have to be killed for your own chait. Otherwise, there would have been something that's family related to your averis, to your onshin. So therefore the Gemara says, since I don't need it to tell me that they have to be killed for their fathers averos, or their sons are not killed for, the parents are not killed for their sons averos, so what do you need it for? I need it for what? Psul Krovim, that they're not going to be able to judge be'edus banim or be'edus avos. Loiva ksiv poiked avos al banim. But you say, back to my kasha. Gemara is challenging this. The Gemara is saying what? What are you looking at? Aval anachnu v'avosenu chatanu. Oh, so it's taka kasha. What do you mean by that? Aval anachnu v'avosenu chatanu. What? What are you trying to do? Why? What? It's a pell on the slichus. What are you saying? Aval anachnu. Who had the havamina? Aval anachnu v'avosenu. What? That what? What do you mean? Well, Mr. Lipson, you listening to this? He's throwing you under the bus. That's what you're saying, that they.
Every person is chote from the greatest.
I'm saying you're about to say.
Shouldn't isolate a person.
You're understanding that avol nachnu v'avosenu chatanu means that.
It's an easy way to shtach in our yichus. Before we say we messed up.
Yeah, but it's not the way we talk about our yichus. We always talk about our yichus that they're.
Beauty. I think that's beauty relationship with that powerful.
That what?
Chit doesn't chit in and of itself. The person who's chote doesn't mean that you're distant from them. Doesn't mean that Hashem still doesn't have a relationship with you. As evidenced by.
Yeah, I'm asking him to that. That's beautiful, but don't throw your grandfathers under the bus. Your grandfather's a big tzaddik.
No, but if you're saying.
And don't compare him. First of all, I don't know why you're saying you were in chayte. That's a real chutzpah. Right. So no. No, but I'm saying. But what do you say before? What's the lashon of the? What's the lashon right beforehand?
Okay, from the seven.
She'enon. So you're not accepting full responsibility. But it's only a function of what?
Just we're wrapping it.
Right. Oh, good. So now you're being moed. So you're willing to be moed that you're a chayte if it's in the context of your mishpacha. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, "Why do you want it from me? It's my father. It's shtaming. It's been in the. It's basically what we're saying in the vidoy is minigav saying to be a daynu. No.
So how would you explain the?
So let's see this Gemara. I think you're right, Eitan, but we.
That we all Pornuyot are still sourced in Chet Egel. Pornuyot that are happening throughout history.
Right. Ein dor she'ein shalom mishtachas me various.
I think Rashi.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sure. The Gemara in Tainus. Yeah. So listen. So I think this is gonna answer a lot of these questions. So what's the Gemara saying? Poikeid avar os albanim. So the Gemara is challenging. The Gemara says, really? Lo yimsu avos albanim? It's not true. Poikeid avar os albanim. So the Gemara says, Hosam kisha oichsin maise avosem biyadeyim. Right? Rashi says this all the time, right? No, that's when what? Eitan, this is back to you. That's when what? When they're doing the same thing as their parents. So Nachum, I have a kasha. If they're doing the same thing as their parents, so you have nothing to do with your father. You're responsible for your Aveiro. What does this have anything to do with my father? It's a pella. If it's So then I made a transgression. I got to pay the price. What does that have to do with my father? You need a pasuk poiked oven avosayim. It's my aver. It's nothing to do with my father. Elamai. You see a yisoid over here that the Rebbeinu Shalom has his marich af. He doesn't have charon af so quickly, Baruch Hashem. But there's a limit to that. There's a limit to when you debt to a certain family, and there's just repetitiveness. There's a situation of oisim maise avisehim. Not only that door did it, this door did it. They continue in the same exact mahalach. Then the Rebbeinu Shalom says, "No, I can't even be maracha for this. This is ad kan. There is a matzav of ad kan in the marachaf also, because otherwise, how do you understand poiked avos? So what? So then I'm responsible. Teretz is no. If it was just you independent, maybe you wouldn't necessarily had the same result and the same oynish. And it's because it's continuous to this mishpacha that the Rebbeinu Shalom says, no, I gotta deal with this in din. I gotta take care of this, or I'm gonna finally put an end to this because they're not changing. And there was a limit to how long I can keep this around. That's the chayr what comes out of the Gemara. Fine. This week's parsha, Rabbi say, Arvus. Aren't I responsible for my brother's Aveira? No, that was in a situation where, what? That they had the ability to be moiche, and they were not moiche, like we learn from Achan. Okay? That's the din of Kol Yisrael Arev and Zelazeh, and if you know something, you have to be moiche. Ashkechan avos, so says the Gemara on top of Chachesam and Alf. Ashkechan avos lebanim, I know that fathers are puzzle for children. Ubanim la'avos, and children are puzzle for avos because that's beferish in the pasuk. The kol shekain, and then I can learn a kol shekain avos la'adadi, a rishon brishon like that, or banim. So the Gemara says, but banim lebanim minalan. How do you know what's banim lebanim, Rabbi Shai? What's that called? A sheni b'sheni, first cousins. How do you know first cousins are puzzle la'edis? Says the Gemara, Imkein lichteiv kra lo yumsu avos al ben, my bonim, da'afilu bonim la'adodi. It should have said a different phraseology. It should have said avos al ben. Why did it say bonim? To teach you, to be megala to you that shem mesheni, even bonim, first cousins of two brothers, are going to be puzzle. Ashkan bonim la'adodi. So then the Gemara asked the following kasha. I understand bonim to each other to be made on a litigant, that's your first cousin. He's the baldover. But how do you know banim la'alma? What does banim la'alma mean? How do you know that we as two edim can't be made for other people together? Meaning psul edus is not only towards the litigant, it's also for us to join as a kat. So the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Barchama, svarahu. It's a svara. What's a svara? Kedesanya, ena edim nasim zayim achi yuz mushneim. Edim are not nasim zayim until both of them are huzam. Right, the Mishnah tells us, right? Achi yuzmuz kulam. We learned in Parsha Shoistim. V'isal kadai te'banim la'almak sherim nimtza eid zemim nerag be'edus achiv. What? What did Rabbi Barchama just say? Again, there is a concept called hazama, right? So, in order for you to get hazama, what does the Mishnah tell us? You need the whole kat. And if it's three edim, it's all three, right? But for sure for two, you need all of them to be huzam. And if only one is huzam, only one of them we say imanu ayisem, there's no hazama. It's ajiyuzmu is kulam. That's the din. Okay? So now what? Says Rashi, be'edus achiv, the ilav da asid high, look at Rashi carefully, the ilav da asid high, krovo, bahadei, lo have a milk till nimtza bonim mesim zelze. How did you understand this, Rashi? Brother or cousin, yeah. Right. So, but it sounds like in Rashi, ilav da asid hai krovo bahadei lo have a mikdal. It sounds like in Rashi, when we have two edim that are being huzam, he's not only being made sheker with the other guy and get caught in it, he's being made about his brother, that his brother's lying. Is that the way you read Rashi? Or is it just that you need a t'nai that they both should be who's? Why is, okay, so let's take things back. Why is my death dependent on my brother?
Because if you walked in by yourself without him, you would not be being put to death right now.
So you're saying it's an outcome. Since there's a halacha of ad sheyuzmu shneim, so indirectly through that halacha, your misa is nigram, is caused by your brother. That's the way you learned. Okay, so that's what Rashi says. So beautiful. That's a great shot. The Or Sameach thought that Rashi was mashma not like that, and he said that it's ridiculous to say this pshat, but there are Rishonim that say this other pshat. No, and then he agreed. He thinks that Rashi. Then he ends up saying exactly what you said. But he said there are those that understood that no, what it means is when Hazama happens, it's not just that I now lied, but my lie is only a lie and is only an Aveira if you have my brother's Edus with me. So it's Ki'ilu like my brother is being made about me that I lied. But he said that that's not true. That's not Hazama. Hazama means you were a chayte. You're an independent chayte. Happens to be you weren't chayte yet unless you have two Eidim and it registers in court. One Eid, there's no Udin Hazama. But once you have two Eidim, we're independent Avaryanim. We don't need each other to make our Aveira into an Aveira. You don't have to testify about the other person. It's just a condition that you need two Eidim in order to be considered Huzam. But once you have those two Eidim, my Aveira is independent from his Aveira, and we're not testifying about each other. So it's exactly like Itai said. The pshat over here is that there's a halacha that in order to have Hazama, you need both. And an outgrowth of needing both means I'm going to get a punishment through my brother's edus. Not that he's being made about me, but that he needs to be huzam, and therefore I'm only killed as a function of him. That's a violation of what? Lo yumtzu avos albonim. So let me ask you a question. So what? So don't be huzam. Yeah. So the Aruch LaNer asked that kasha. He says, what if there's two, you can exist independently, so then, but you still have to be Achi Yuzmu Kulam.
Right. But your punishment is not directly, I mean, if your brother didn't show up at all, you
Right,
still would be in
right,
trouble.
correct, right. Right. So, well, no, but once you say Achi Yuzmu Kulam, you're not an Eitzayim. That's the pshat. You need Achi Yuzmu Kulam.
But they had that. I mean, they got all three. All three were now.
Yeah.
As Zomer. So.
No, but I need my brother.
You need your brother what?
I need my brother to get Huzam.
What?
He's part of my
It's
cut.
a function, regardless how many people.
Once we join.
Even in that case,
Yeah.
you say that you are
Yeah,
relying on the
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Maybe a little bit
Yeah.
less, but it's
Because the halacha is Hazama needs everyone.
No, but you can say ignore that he did it. I mean,
I can't. I can't.
I don't say ignore that he can't.
You can't,
It's-
right.
It's if he wasn't Huzam, if nobody was able to prove that he was Iman Yisem,
yeah.
would I be killed? So the answer is
No.
I wouldn't be.
Right.
And if you had three people and he wasn't able to be proven Iman Yisem, I wouldn't be killed.
Right.
You don't say if he didn't even testify at all.
Right. Once he's made, he's made. He's part of the cut.
And that's what Rashi's saying. The Rav the Asid High quote that he was a Zoman, or that he would testify for love. I mean, that he was an aid. Period. I mean, Rashi didn't specify that you're talking about Hazam, that he was caught as an aid Zoman.
Well, that's why the Or Sameach thought in Rashi, not like the way you originally learned. It sounds like Rashi is saying the second guy is being made something that is now bringing on my misa.
He was being made. He testified with you initially. That was the aid that he gave.
So why is he lav da'asid high krova? Because you need two edim?
Yeah, he's the second guy. If he wasn't there, you would have.
So you're saying according to Rashi, in order for my Maisa Avera to be a Maisa Avera, I need a I need his.
You're relying on your brother's testimony. If he didn't show up and you walked into the basement by yourself and they wouldn't listen to you, you would not be in trouble.
Only in a case of two.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. I mean, I just realized what you're saying. It's not. That's difficult. But
I'm saying in a case of three, I'm saying you're.
no, case three would be very different.
Only in the case of two. I understand what you're saying. Right. See, he was suggesting a different pshat. He was saying that perhaps Rashi was saying is that ilav the asid hai krova bahadei lo have a mikdal because he is actually what Rashi is saying is he is actually being made about he's making my Eidah Sheker into Eidah Sheker. Which I agree. I don't think that's pashut. The Or Sameach himself doesn't think he's trying to tell people that's ridiculous because he writes there Akasha. He's saying maybe you should also say that if a person's bought on an erva, he should not be chayiv because you need his own maisa, like to be like he says and also you should passel every aid because you need his own aidus in order for the aidus to be aidus. He said well, it's a ridiculous question. Like that's not what Rashi meant, and therefore he says it's just because of a t'nai and a halacha that you need everyone to be huzam in order to. But you're saying that that's dafka by two. Interesting. I don't have a raya against you, but then you would differentiate between 2 and 3, which is right. Maybe the Gemara was limited to a case of 2. Well, let me just ask a kasha, just an interesting kasha. There are cases on the books. So let's say Rami Bar Chama is right. So you would never be able to do hazama, right? So what's the problem? So don't do hazama. What's the problem? What's the problem with not being able to do hazama? It's not edus. It's edus sheyata yachol azima. So basically, the code word, and the Ran writes like this: the code word for this Gemara is Rami Bar Chama is saying, by definition, it can't be because then you're not going to have edus because it's edus sheyata yachol azima. What happens if I have a case that there could be edus sheyata yachol azima? What happens if I tell you that Rabbi Kiva Eger holds when it comes to kiddush hachodesh, you don't need edus sheyata yachol azima? What hazama? What are you gonna slam the moon? Like what? What are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? What Kiva Eger is mechadish that there's no edus sheyata yachol azima when it comes to kiddush hachodesh. There's certain edus. Dinim Mominus. Some poskim hold by Dinim Mominus. There's no edus sheyata yachol azima. But it's edus, right? Like Tosis and Makis discusses by Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza, right? You don't have the ability to be. How are you gonna passel me for kahuna? What I was trying to, right? So how do you need edus sheyata yachol? So here's my kasha. If you have on the books situations, cases that you don't need edus sheyata yachol azima, so our Krovim kosher. If that's what it's based on, so maybe Krovim should be kosher, like Hatarat Nedarim. No. I'm just saying like Dayanim by Hatarat Nedarim, which I just had to get a Kishmaka title, so we have to talk about Hatarat Nedarim. So. Okay, so Lamaisa, the answer to that question is that we're just looking for a source. Once we learn the source that there is a case that Krovim are puzzle, now it's going to apply across the board. And it's not only going to apply to Eidus, the Rishonim right over here, that once we had a source by Eidus, we're Makish Dayonis to the same thing. And now you can't have a Psul Dayonim for Krovim also. So you see, it's not limited at the end of the day to situations where Eidah Shata Yochel Azima. Because if it's limited to situation for Eidah Shata Yochel Azima, so how do you extrapolate from there to what? To Dayonis, where you don't have a svara of Eidah Shata Yochel Azima, because it's not Eidus, it's Dayonis. So you see, this was just a starting point to get the ball rolling, to passel la'alma, not only when I'm being made on each other, and that's the baldover, but the two of us together can't be made, and then that would be a source that would be able to extrapolate outwards as well. Good. Fine. So then the Gemara says, Nimtza Eid B'Shalei Mamon Be'edus Echav. So the Gemara says, can't be. Rami Bar Chama is wrong. Why? Because don't tell me that Hazam is the source, because if you have 3 brothers that had testimony, right, and 1 guy, 4 guys together, 3 brothers and a 4th guy. So the Gemara says they can split up to be 3 Eduyos, Ve'hen Edus Achas LaHazama. Right? And they all are considered 1 kat for Hazama. So 1 second. Nimtza eid zaymim mishalim mamim be'edus achav. So then you are getting hazama through your brother, because you need all 3 eduyos to be correct about the edus, because you're being made about cheskas gimel shanim, which is going to be created dine maminus nafkamina. Ela hazama me'alma kamasi hachanami hazama me'alma kamasi. Rather, hazama is not the issue. Hazama is coming externally, and that's not the reason why the Krovim themselves are puzzle to be made on other people. Elam Kain, the answer is like follows. Gemara rejects that answer. Ellen kein lichtov kra uben al avos, inamu hein al avos, my ubanim, afilu banim la alma. So the Torah says, the Gemara says, there's a drasha that there was another way to write avos al banim. You didn't have to write avos al banim. Why did it say banim? To even teach you that they together can't be made for other people, and that's the psul krovim. Not only when the litigant is their karov, but also when they themselves are krovim. And like I said, the Rishonim extend that to dayanim as well. Happens to be we're running out of time. But when it comes to Hatarat Nedarim, it's beferish and Shulchan Aruch that when it comes to Hatarat Nedarim, Krovim are okay. That's beferish and Shulchan Aruch, just like it says Lila is okay. Krovim are okay. On Shabbos we were discussing if an even bezdin is okay. We discussed an interesting shaila if an even bezdin is valid or invalid. A discussion Reb Kiva Eger brings up with a person who moved into community and he had an even bezdin, whatever the source was. So it's beferish and Shulchan Aruch that Krovim are okay. Rabbi Shechter quotes Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik. That Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik said a karov of the litigant is okay, but two Krovim on the bezdin to each other are not okay. Why? It's mamish, not mashma and Shulchan Aruch like that. So he wants to be mechalik, and he wants to say that the same way Rabbi Kiva Eger says that even though we're being makel by Krovim, but we're not makel by an isha on the Hataras Nedarim bezdin, right? So Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik says you can be makel on someone that's not a psul in other places. But if you're a psul in other places, so that you're going to be puzzle. Isha's puzzle no matter where the bezdin is. So therefore, she's a psul guf, that's going to puzzle anywhere. So Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik apparently held, it's a little bit hard to grasp, but he apparently held, Bishlama, if you're just one dayan, and you have two other dayanim that you're not related to, and you happen to be related, in this case, to the person who's being mater neder, okay, so that's a psul here, but it's not a psul that's applicable elsewhere. Aaron Soloveitchik held that if you're two dayanim, so this bezdin would be pulsal elsewhere, and therefore that wouldn't work for Hataras Nedarim. It's a chiddush. Pashtus is, I would say, no. The pashtus is that an isha is pulsal everywhere. It's a psul guf. Krovim is just in this matziv, it's pulsal. Who cares whether it's to the litigant or to the dayanim each other? But Rav Shechter says that Rav Aaron learned the kula of Hataras Nedarim like that. Memeilit, he'll be mekel legabe the litigant to the dayan. But if you have more than one karov on the bezdin, you have this all the time. You have fathers and sons, which, by the way, according to Reb Kiva Eger, we quoted on Shabbos, you shouldn't have those young boys because you want to have, someone who has a zakein, someone who's older, so you're not relying on chazaka derava. You know that he has shtei cyrus already. But legabe tu krovim, no one even says mashuhu on the page of Shulchan Aruch. Krovim is heter gomer. Rabbi Aaron Soloveitchik had this chumrah that two dayanim is not the same as the dayan being related to the matir neder. But that's just in Yana Diyoma connected to our daf mamish. It was hashkacha pratis. So that's the psul. I really just want to jump ahead because we just have a little time left. If you don't mind, we're just going to move a little quicker. So the Gemara says, because I want to finish before we get. The Gemara says, Ashkechan Krovei Av. I learned Krovei Av. Krovei Ha'em Minalon. Amar Kra Avos Trezimne. Emeino Inyan LeKrovei Av. Inyan LeKrovei Ha'em. Right? Obviously, this is not going according to the Mishnah Rishona that hold only Roy Liyarsho, but we hold everyone's pasuk Eidus. But the pasuk only says Krovei Av Lo Yimsu Avos Albanim. How do you know Krovei Ha'em? Right? So the pasuk says Avos. Okay? Everyone with me? Yeah? So if you look at the Rambam, everybody said the Rambam, I don't have it there, but give me a second. I have something more fascinating there. Listen to a second. Hakrovim psulin leidis din teirish. Nemar lo yimsu avos albanim, bom lo yimsu avos. Mipi Shmuel lamdu, shebechlal lav zesh lo yimsu avos pi banim albanim al pi avos. V'udin l'shar krovim. Then the Rambam lists all the krovim of the Av. Listen to this. Aval shar akrovim min ha'em o min derech ishus, like you said, Abe. Not only krovim min ha'em, but also marriage. Kulan psulim midivreihem. Derabanan. So Rabbi said, comes along the Chuvas Arashba and he says, what? Did you learn Sanhedrin Chav Chesam at Aleph? The Gemara says, Beferish, Avos. I learned Avos. How do you know Mishpachas Aim that they're puzzle? So the Gemara says a pasuk. So what, the Rambam learned the whole Gemara as an asmachta? Why would he do that? What caused this? So this is a big problem, the Rambam. So the Vilna Gaon thinks that what caused the Rambam to say that is, even though we don't paskin like the Mishnah Rishona, but there was a debate in the Mishnah Rishona, and we explained that perhaps the mocker of the Mishnah Rishona was that Mishpachas Av, Kari Mishpacha, Mishpachas Aim, Ain't a Kari Mishpacha, and that's why it's Tali and Yorai Liyarsho. So even though the other day in the Tanoim didn't agree to that, but the Rambam understood that was just Midrabanan. Fundamentally, that line of reasoning was something that was true on a biblical level. The Rambam held, said the Vilna Gaon, according to all opinions of Tanoim, and therefore he was forced to understand that this Gemara was only an asmachta and was not a din de oraisa. The Ramah, when he quotes, the Ramah quotes this Rambam la'alacha. The Ramah, when he quotes Psul Krovim, he says, by the way, if you had, Mark, mamish like the story you told me, if you had a Psul Krovim in a aim, says the Ramah, you should get a get. Because according to the Rambam, you're kosher b'nat Torah. This is going to have serious ramifications. The Shach in Hilchos Eidus Siman Lamed Gimel says the Ramah is wrong. Listen to what the Shach says. He says everyone knows, we spoke about this last week, the story about the Rambam in the Vatican, right? Everyone knows the Rambam Shita is that when you learn Yud Gimel Midrash Shater and Nidreshes Behem, you learn with a Hekish, with a Gzeir Shavit, it's not a Beferish Pasuk. So the Rambam calls that what? The Rambam calls that Divrei Seifrim. So Avada, the Rambam meant your Pasuk B'nat Torah. So the Shach, there's no reason to even get a get. Rabbi Yisai, this is a machloikis in a Rambam that is going to have nafkaminis l'gabei mamzerus. Does she need a get? Does she not need a get? So the Shach says, Pashit. The Tumim jumps on the Shach, the Rabbi Yonasan Eibish, he says, how are you matir an Isha like this? Just based on a shtickle Torah with the Vatican, you're saying such a shtickle Torah that you think that the Rambam meant what he meant by Kesef Kiddushin, that Midivrei Sefer, you're mamish being matir mamzer. Rabbi say this is unbelievable the way the Shach goes in terms of, and Rabbi say, I don't want to I'm not entitled to an opinion, who's right or who's wrong, the Ramah or the Shach. But Rabbi say, this is not exactly parallel to the Rambam when it comes to Kesef Kiddushin that's learned out from Gzeir Shaveh that the Rambam calls him a Divrei Sefer. Let me read you the Rambam again. Aval shar hakrovim min ha'eim omi derech ha'ishus kulon psulim midivreihem. He doesn't say midivrei sefer. He says midivreihem. The pashtus in the Rambam sounds like the Ramah. This woman needs a get. This is not the classic midivrei seferim of the Rambam when he learns from Yud Gimel Midrash Shatar and Nidreshes Behem. Because there the Rambam says midivrei seferim, and there's a whole discussion of what midivrei seferim means. But here, it's going to have tremendous ramifications. Whether or not this Ramah, the Chumrah, the Ramah, is going to be something that we have to be chayshish for. This case could come up, lemaisa. You didn't realize something and you had Krovim and Aim. So what's the din with this girl? Does she need to get? Does she not need to get? Machalik is the Ramah and the Shach. But it's actually fascinating. With this, we'll close. But you got to see this. Come on. I saw this vart, and then I realized how many Gedolim said the same vart, and it must be emes. Listen to this. Kayadua Shevet Levi was not chayte in the Chayde Egel, right? And Shevet Levi made a milchama, and they killed everyone b'saif, right? Why? If you're chayte b'avodah zara, you are chayiv to kill b'chol misa with skila. So the answer is because if you're the aid, you have the ability to kill with any misa that you could kill with. So look at the Gemara in Yuma. This is Gemara in Yuma and Samech Vavam Amud. The Gemara says like this. First of the wide lines. Amar Rav Yehuda Shivto Shel Levi Lo Avad Avodas Kechavim. Shene'emar Vayamad Moshe B'Shar HaMachne Yosef Ravina V'Ka'amar Lo HaShmaitza Eisvei B'nei Rav Papa Bar Abel Ravina Ha'omer Lo Aviv L'Imo Lo Re'isiv. Where is this pasuk from, Rabbi Yisai? Ha'omer Lo Aviv L'Imo Lo Re'isiv. Where's this pasuk? In the end of the Torah. Right, it's an azina, right? So who's it talking about? It's talking about shevet. What? Is it v'zayis bracha, right? It's on Simchas Torah. Hayomer la'av le'imo la'reisiv aviv avi mi Yisrael imo, right? Imo mi Yisrael echav mi imo mi Yisrael banov bnei bito mi Yisrael. So what does the Gemara say? What does the Gemara say? The shevet Levi was chayte, right? So was not chayte. I'm sorry. Ha'omer la'aviv u'le'imo lo reisiv. Aviv avi imo mi Yisrael. Achiv achi imo mi Yisrael. All of those that were chayte, right, were all what? Not in Shevet Levi. They were all through the mother. Now again, what did Shevet Levi do? Shevet Levi took the mice in biyadayim, right? They didn't kill, and they killed all the other, their brothers, me'imo mi Yisrael, right? Because they were chayiv misa, right? Why didn't they get skila? Asked the Meshech Chachma. Because they ate them, they can kill with any misa, shatar and address them. Listen to the tumim. Rabbi Yonason Eibeshitz and Choshim Mishpat, Rabbi Yisai. This is not a parsha sefer. Listen to what he says. It's unbelievable. Top line. V'gam asisi smach l'divrei Rambam. I have a raya to the Rambam that Krovim ha'eim are not possible edus min ha'Torah. How do you know? Mehod amrina b'yuma be'ego kol mi she'oyu be'edim b'asra b'sayif. From the fact that the egel, the din was that those that were killed through the edim and asra, they can be killed b'sayif. Amru sham ha'omer la'aviv avi achi va'achi imo uben bito. All the Krovim were what? Not real Levium. They were only relatives. What? Through their mother. The kasha echi tachim b'lei edim. How could they be killed without edim? Halo haya b'sayif rak b'magefu be'edim. Mi hayu ha'edim. Who were the witnesses? Im acherim eich hargu heim lekrovim. Habo inan yada edim b'rishayna. Right? Adsha amru nikta yada edim potter. The halacha is that the edim are the first people that are told to execute the punishment. How could they testify about their brothers? The Gemara is telling you it's Achi Imo Mi Yisrael. So how could they do Saif? Because you're relying that Yada Edim Tiyah B'Yerushalayim is allowed to be done with any Misa if it's through the Edim, because they weren't able to do Skila at that time. But the Edim are Pasul. The Krovim less be psul min ha'Torah. Rabbi Yisai says the Tumim, you have a parsha and chumash. That's a raya to the Rambam. This is not just he says, because they were only, the Gemara in Yuma is telling us, they were only relative, those that died were not part of Shevet Levi, means they were not related min ha'av, they were only related min ha'aim, and those are the ones that were killed. Frekta Tumim, but then you're Pasul Edis, why are you allowed to be the ones to kill them? I'm not Pasul Edis, I'm only Pasul Midrabanim, Midivrayim, according to Shittas HaRambam, and therefore I could kill them. This is not just a chiddush. The Tumim was mechadish like this. The Meshech Chachma was chadish like this in Parshas Kisisa, and the Hafla, the Ponim Yofis. They all were mechaven to the same exact vart. How did the Edis work out? Based on the Mar and Yuma, they were only Pasal Mena'im. Pasal Mena'im, according to Shittas Rambam, is only Pasal Mid Rabbanan. Rabbi Yisai, enjoy your Hatarat Nedarim with your Krovim.